He's an action figure poser, which means posing action figures is his specialty. SeanSolo8 and it's Vern from OakhurstStudios, who is a master at complaining about pretty much everything. And together, they are the Toy Duo. Hey everybody, welcome to the show. This is the Toy Duo. And this week we're going to be talking about Star Wars, Marvel, DC, action figures, toys, collecting, everything you can imagine. Well, probably not, because I'm sure everybody can imagine a heck of a lot. But anyways, so today we got Conor from FullersFigures here, and you can catch him at youtube.com/FullersFigures. And of course, I'm Vernon, and it's my channel's at OakhurstStudios. You can get me at youtube.com/@VernRants. I know that doesn't sound like OakhurstStudios at all, but normally we'd have SeanSolo8 here, and he's at youtube.com/@SeanSolo8. Of course, Sean has been absent the last couple of weeks. He's had some schedule changing and stuff like that. So we're curious to know, like, if he's going to be able to work out a schedule to be able to like come back on Saturdays. If not, we're going to have to try to figure something out probably with the Toy Duo and see where that's going. And that's not an April Fool's, by the way. But apparently, I wanted to throw this up there. I was suspended today from Twitter for violating their Twitter rules. Specifically, I made this fake news post apparently about a future HasLab and fully suspended. So I'll be tweeting this out in a minute. Anyways, how's it going, Conor?
Nice to see you. Not too bad. Well, first off, apologies to you in the chat for not being as good looking and handsome as Sean Solo. So I'll do my best.
You know what though? But Sean does not have a picture of himself behind him.
That's true. That's true.
Anyways, I want to say hi to some people in the chat, just because, you know, when you do a live stream, you know, the people who show up to like participate in the conversation are pretty much everything to the way things go. I do know that MegaCon is going on in Florida this weekend. I think that's pretty big out there. So I think there's plenty of people going to MegaCon. So we'll see who gets to show up here today, who's not wandering around the floor out there. But we got G-Force. He showed up really early.
Hey, G-Force.
Gerard Kane, thanks for coming in. We really appreciate it.
Hey, Gerard.
Jonathan Redmond.
Jonah.
Duffman's Dioramas.
Hey, Duffman.
And the Wheels of Chaotic Doom is saying good morning from Sydney, Australia. It's
Good
6 a.m. That's like watching Saturday morning cartoons, but on Sunday.
Yeah.
Right? Because I think it's a day ahead. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Vern, can you tell us where your channel is so we can watch this live stream? Yeah, I don't know. It's so confusing to me. I had talked about before about how I wanted to change the name of my channel from OakhurstStudios to like Vern Rants or something like that. But then I felt like, oh man, at this point, I don't know. Should I change it? Because I kind of already had kind of established it a little bit. So I don't know. It's a tough thing to try to think like after you've been going on for a while. Then like it's like when people change their logo on Twitter, and I'm like,
yeah,
who is?
You get confused. Yeah, but the backstory to how you got your name is pretty awesome as well. Yeah. So
thanks. We got Miriam here.
Miriam.
Gerard. And then JT has shown up. Thank you for coming in.
JT.
All right. Oh, Mod Extra Games.
Oh, hey, Chris.
Yeah. Okay. So anyways, so this week we had some things, and, you know, I put that thing up about my Twitter or whatever being suspended, but that's not true. And I did think it was kind of interesting, though, because let me pull this up. I found this just to get started. I found this picture on Instagram. I did not know that it was, I guess in the back of my mind, I did know. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out how to, okay, here we go. That it was April Fool's today, right? But for some reason, I guess I forgot. And so when this came out, I was kind of like, well, this is almost the most ridiculous HasLab idea I've ever heard. I don't know what you thought when you saw it, or did you just immediately know, oh, that's a joke?
No, so my first initial thoughts when I saw it were that typical of the Star Wars team to not, if they were to announce it today, to not kind of cop the day that was in it or the date that it was, if they were announcing it. I presumed when I saw it then as well, they would have done it on a stream to announce with all the flash and flare and everything else. And then my mind wandered to sort of, what if this is true, potentially, what are the stretch goals? And
Exactly.
I immediately thought, if they're giving us a Bantha from Tatooine, they're going to have to throw in, an Ewok from Endor from the scene that they were in together, and
Exactly.
a snow trooper on the next tier or something. So, I think everything that happened with the Rancor might as well have been an April Fool's Day joke. So it kind of falls into place.
Yeah, like so Return of the Nerd Star Wars put it up, and he asked something about like, oh, maybe we'll get the Chieftain as like the first goal or whatever. And I'm thinking to myself, like, well, they just announced him for the Black Series, so I guess it could make sense to throw him on a special card. And then I started thinking, like, oh man, does this mean we're not getting any of the other characters from the Book of Boba Fett or whatever, in a Black Series line that's not going to be exclusive to this? Because that's what something like this would do, right?
Yeah.
And how do you give an exclusive sand person? I mean, we already got the sand person or sand people, so the Tusken Raider. So it's like, what would be, a stretch goal on something like that? But he asked about the pricing, and I imagine like if they actually did this, they'd probably try to rake it up to like $350, just like that Engine of Vengeance.
Easy.
But
yeah,
considering that it is April Fool's, I'm pretty sure that this was just an April Fool's joke that I got suckered.
I think a few of it did initially when we saw it, but then,
oh my gosh,
the bag of sand.
Okay, so anyways, I also posted something on both Instagram and Twitter, and it had something to do with the Carson Teva and the and Zeb coming out in a vintage collection pipeline reveal. Now, the way I found that pipeline reveal thing was it was on Paul Hyung-Sung Lee's stories. And when I was going through them, I saw that thing where it was like, oh, pipeline reveals, he's actually getting his figure. Congratulations. So I screenshotted it, took that little caption and reposted it with my picture. And then later when he laughed, he like just did the laughing emoji on my post. And I started thinking like, wait a minute, I bet this is an April Fool's. So I went back to his story, looked through his stories, and sure enough, right down at the bottom of the picture, there was like a little tiny square that said April Fool's. So that was apparently not a leaked.
No, but I definitely think we're getting that figure because, it's a Luke Wes body. So,
yes,
they already have it there. It's just going to be a new head. So we definitely, that has to be an upcoming figure. Shit, can we see your Zeb custom again?
Yeah. Okay, so
you are so fast getting this done. That's amazing.
So this is the Zeb. So on the first day, what I did was I just swapped him over onto Eloy Atzi's body, and I just left him orange. And then what I wanted to do was I wanted to pull the arms and legs and see if I can get them onto the body. And luckily I didn't make any modifications, but I guess I could have dremeled this out a little bit so the arms would fit a little bit closer. But I think that because I didn't do that, it kind of gives him a little bit more width like he would have had. The problem that I had, like I said in my video, was I broke the pegs off in the legs. So basically I just cut the other one out and I just glued the upper portion of the legs in. So basically it's like static, but I mean, you still have like the flex, so he can stand and stuff like that. It's just, you can't do, too much with them other than pose him standing and stuff like that. But everything else is still articulable. I don't know what the word is. G-force, help me out. But anyways, then I just painted him blue, and then I know he has that gold in the show down here, and they didn't really show his legs, but I left him without the boot so you'd see his feet. And then I just did all these cuffs black because I thought like it kind of matched up. And just in the interim, you know, until they give us a real figure.
Yeah, no, that looks fantastic. I can't believe you got it done so quickly, because it felt like it was within hours of the show airing. You had pictures on social media of your custom.
Well, yeah, so
I worry about the articulation on the upper legs, because a pilot character, you're not going to need too much articulation for dynamic poses. So I think you nailed that one. Brilliant.
I think it turned out pretty good. It was, you know, the thing is when you're kit bashing something, it could come out a lot faster. There's another guy on Instagram. I posted the picture of the Etsy body with just the head, and I kind of hid him behind like the table, so you wouldn't really notice I didn't change very much. There's a guy on Instagram called I think it's Marco M.A. whatever, and he posted a picture of his head swap, but he went ahead and painted that orange outfit blue. So I thought that was kind of cool. And then I was like, yeah, I was going to do that, but I wanted to get the arms and legs off. So it was like, it doesn't take that long to take arms and legs off, especially if you're willing to like rush it and break the post. Because I should have taken my time. I wouldn't have broke the pins on it if I had done it.
I don't think it matters for a pilot. Yeah. No, I like you use the Z body because it like has that bulk that character has on screen. So I think you've captured that.
Yeah, the Etsy is a little bit bigger because I thought about using I have the Anton Merrick, and he's still readily available on clearance at most Target. So it was like, oh, that's an easily replaceable figure, but it's narrow. It's kind of like the Luke, you know, where he's too skinny.
Way too
thin. Yeah. But then I started looking for a replacement Etsy, and they're like the cheapest I can get one is maybe close to $30. So I'm not going to, I'll just find one secondhand somewhere, or like open bag or something, just to put it back on the shelf. I'm going to read some of these. HAT, everybody saying hi. Oh, okay. Oh, you're getting some comments. If you're standing in for Sean, you need to get up and leave the room every 5 minutes.
I can't stand up as quick as Sean. I'm older than him.
Getting out of hand. Let's see. Hey, Vern, JT, okay, everybody's saying hi. Let's see. That's why I like my YouTube name. No one knows what it means. Okay, he's talking about when I was thinking about changing my name. I'll be honest. This pic. You're talking about the Bantha. Seems legit for the Star Wars team. Yeah, there were a few claps that were bent out of shape, but about them releasing another Bantha as a Haslab, he was laughing. Let's see. The only lad who didn't like Andor G-Force. Yep. I didn't get suckered by April Fools. I've been too busy waiting for the Nigerian print. Come on. Here's G-Force finally articulated. Thank you. Is ripping off subpar 7's level of articulation. That's true. So I'm not good with English. No, that's probably not my best language. Not enough character selections to keep me interested. So he's not collecting Black Series anymore. You could have taken Zeb apart at the waist and used his crotch piece. Oh, okay, so I thought about that too, but then this figure right here, it doesn't come apart right there. The only place it comes apart is up here on the upper chest. So
it's a torso ball joint on him, is there?
Yeah. So like, because I had thought about like taking this piece off, and then I thought about how would I get him attached, and then the other thing I could have done is maybe like cut that other body in half and then just glued this part onto the bottom of that body. But because it wasn't like an easy whatever, I didn't go for it. I was just trying to get it done. Fully pulled the plug on Black Series. Okay, I'm just reading the same comments. Okay, so anyway, so you're back on the show again. The last time you were here, we were with Super John, and we went right into talking about Action Force and GI Joe and stuff like that. So we didn't really get a chance to get to know you. So I'm glad you came back, and I can see your wonderful collection behind you. No, I'm just messing with you. So I'm curious to know.
Irish houses aren't as big as American houses, so we have limited space available.
I'm just kidding with you. But so I'm curious to know how you got started collecting.
I suppose I just always played with action figures from when I can remember. Funny enough, I remember going to there's a shopping centre near us, or what you guys would call a mall, and there's a little sort of mum and dad's toy store there, and it still exists today. It's still in operation. And I remember vividly going in there and getting Darth Vader and a Stormtrooper as a kid after seeing the Star Wars in my auntie's house. And they were the first two real action figures I ever got. And I was just hooked. And it's never went away from me. It's always been there. It's always been in my life. So I always collected, went through, Star Wars into Action Force, into G.I. Joe, into He-Man, and Transformers were mixed in there as well. We were always very lucky with what we could get over here. I think we were on the sort of same distribution channel as whatever the UK would get, and given the large population there, we'd get stuff flood into our market here. So there was always, everything was available to us, and I just, of course, we didn't call it collecting then. We just called it our toys. We got our toys, birthdays, or Christmases, or trips to the dentist. You'd be fobbed off with an action figure. So they were always an ever-present constant in my life growing up. And then as I got older, I dipped back into it. So I was a huge Star Trek fan, particularly Next Generation. And then when the Playmates came out, I remember going into Forbidden Planet in Dublin here. It used to be up on Dawson Street, and my mates would go mad because it was sort of outside the main shopping area of the city, and I'd drag them up there, and I'd buy a figure and collected all the Playmates Star Trek figures. And I would have been in my late teens at that stage. Then into my early 20s, when I started working, I'd finished college, and eBay arrived. And I was lucky enough that I had a credit card at the time, so I was able to set up a PayPal, and I was able to sort of fill in gaps to my collection. It was a collection then, and I was able to pick up a G.I. Joe figure or a missing Star Wars figure from the US for about €15 or $15 delivered. So it was much cheaper back then, the shipping costs. And yeah, I suppose by sort of 2005, maybe even early 2004, I pretty much had a full run of all the Star Wars, all the G.I. Joe that I had missed out as a kid. I'd picked up a few Motu figures, or He-Man figures as we call them growing up. And I had that collection. Then I got married. And we were living in an apartment at the time, so everything kind of got boxed up. And I remember then, so my brother passed away in 2010, and I remember we had to clear out his house, and I don't know, something just clicked in me, and I came home, and within the week I had shipped off so I had a massive music collection, CDs. I don't know if it was imported CDs where you'd be chasing Japanese or US imports, DVDs. I had a huge DVD collection, and anything material just gone, eradicated.
Wow.
And then a couple of years, and I was fine with that. I was happy with that. And then a couple of years later, then I was in the Disney store had opened here in Dublin, and I popped in, and my daughter was looking at Disney Princess or something, and I picked up this 6-inch Stormtrooper, and I think it was €13, $13. I was like, oh, I'm getting this. And boom, just picking up bits and pieces then from then on, just reignited that love of action figures, and I was straight back into it. The only thing, I feel enough, the early days of Black Series, I didn't go for anything with a face. So it was all the helmets, so Stormtrooper, Darth Vader,
Interesting.
Boba. Just didn't like the face prints. And I think sort of as I got older, my interest, sort of the more realistic or the more screen accurate they became, that's where my love, my modern love of toy collecting came from then.
Oh my gosh. So that's really interesting to hear that you didn't collect anything with faces with the Black Series, because you had a vintage Kenner Star Wars figures, right?
Yeah, so everything up to the last 17, which I know sort of,
But
and they
but
weren't cheap,
it didn't
like
bother you that those faces didn't really look like them either.
no, because they had the nostalgic. I mean, if you look at a couple of my favorite figures was of course Luke Skywalker. So
Sure.
I pretty much didn't leave the house unless I had an X-wing, Bespin, or Jedi Luke in one of my pockets, and they came everywhere with me. And it was that sort of nostalgic love for that representation of the character. Because when I was a 5 or 6 or 7-year-old, that was Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess you can, yeah, I can see that. When you're younger and you're looking at that, you're like, oh, okay, this is Luke.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it didn't look anything like Luke, and but to me it was Luke Skywalker, you know.
Right, right. I want to say hi to Dandy 1981 and Rolando joined us.
Hey, Dandy, hey, Rolando.
Mod Extra saying that the nerdy shops are always off the beaten track. He describes his local one as near a bus station by all the streetwalkers. No, but GeForce is asking, did my tutorial teach you everything you know about figure photography, and why didn't Liverpool to help out my gunners today?
I'm going to plead. I know I'm not living in the US. I'm pleading the fifth and the second part of that question for a start. I'm going to seeing that I'm on a US channel. I'm going to invoke that right. And yes, all of Vern's tutorials help me out greatly. I always
Yeah, whatever. No, you do a great job. I mean, like my stuff's so rudimentary. Like it's kind of like I feel like a lot of it's like thrown together. But no, you are doing a fantastic job on your reviews, by the way, and your photography is just perfect.
Yeah, I love taking that. So I actually had an old Instagram account, and I think I deleted most of them, but I don't know the password. I can't get into it. I think it was called Action Figure Art. And I
Okay.
started to take pictures with my 3 3/4 inch GI Joes or Action Force. And I suppose when I just kind of got rid of everything in 2011, it just kind of stopped. And I thought I had deleted the account. I deleted all the photographs, but I think there's still a couple on it. And it was, I used to have a lot of fun doing it. So I just kind of picked it up from there and started doing it. The only thing is I'm a dribble for messing with, the different apps for adding stuff digitally, and there's probably nothing wrong with the initial photograph. And like, I'm just gonna have to tweak it and mess with it
A little bit.
I'm a devil for that.
But honestly, like so with doing some digital editing on your photos and adding some effects, I think it does make like a really big difference. And why not take advantage of those tools that are available? Like I don't know if did you watch any of my stop motion videos that I did with my 12-inch GI Joes that are on my channel?
Yeah. So I've gone back and looked at a lot of those.
Okay, so I did those 3, and those were all taken with like one of the first digital cameras I had, and we were out taking individual stills, and I was stringing them together in like a movie maker or something like that. But one of the things that I had to do like the gunfire and stuff is I actually put it into like it was the basic Microsoft Word video or photo editing program. So I was drawing on the flashes with like the line colored orange and yellow
inside
on the individual frames, and then re-importing that picture into the timeline so that the picture would like have like a flash in one scene and not a flash in the other. So now that you can digitally just like frame through a video file to do it, right? Like it makes it so much easier to be able to like enhance like your pictures and stuff like that.
Yeah, and some of the new stuff you do is fantastic for that added in detail.
So I'm going to throw this out. So nobody thinks this looks like Mark Hamill. He's in my secondary bag now. But so do you have anything from back in the day in your collection?
No. Like I said, 2011 just eradicated everything. And
Wow.
people always ask me, have you regrets? You regret? No, it was the right thing to do at the time. I was happy I did it. I was, like I said, I had a huge DVD collection. So I'd go through stages of an actor where, say, Clint Eastwood or James Cagney or Jean-Claude Van Damme, and I would just sort of go and every week or every couple of weeks pick up one of their films, and I sort of had a huge DVD collection as well, and just gone.
Wow. I do have a box or a couple of boxes of like Blu-rays still, because I started collecting those like still books, you know, like the ones where they come in the special edition with like the raised artwork on it. So I have like some of those, but it's just so hard, you know, to keep that up. And like somebody was asking about digital versus physical media, and I pretty much don't buy any physical movies anymore. If I buy a movie, it's on iTunes or digital, and most of the time you can just watch something on a streaming service that you're already paying for anyway, so there's no need to buy it, right? Like I don't think I've bought one one Marvel or Disney movie since Disney Plus came out, because there's just no reason.
I suppose when those type of films are sitting there on demand,
right?
But of course, we have the special Irish TV station over here where pretty much everything is accessible on demand.
Yeah, I've seen that channel. I think I don't have it. I've seen it. Let's see. The Kenner figures have charm, and back in the day they were awesome. Yeah, still own mine. That's Wheels of Chaotic Doom. Is exclusive better than a Walmart? Oh, After Dark is exclusive better than Walmart exclusive. Oh, that's a joke. It's April Fool's. I don't know. Hey, so ask questions of Conor here if you want to know, because I am interested. What was the first Action Force figure you got?
The modern ones?
Yeah.
So I got lucky, Vern. My wife was stuck what she wanted to get me for Christmas, and I said, look, this UK retailer is getting this range of action figures in that are supposed to be only available in the US, and I said, if you pre-ordered them for me, that would make my Christmas. So
wow.
I got four. So she pre-ordered them, and I got the Kerrick, Bone Collector, Condor, and Steel Brigade.
Wow.
Condor was a big one for me to get because of one of my favorite figures. My favorite Joe was Snake Eyes, for obvious reasons. Everyone wanted the Dark Ninja, the Black Ninja, but one I loved was Airborne. So this guy here, and I just love this guy. I think because he came with sort of like an M16, and I alluded to films there. So I loved war films. So for me, this represents sort of that sort of movies, the way some people will be into horror movies or into fantasy movies. I just loved war movies growing up, World War II, Vietnam, and stuff like that. So to me, those weapons or those accessories are, you know, they're like a fantasy accessory to a figure that would have a sword or a shield to some other people, because these don't sort of exist in my world. And the fact that this guy, I suppose, had an M16, which was sort of on every 80s TV program back in the day. I love that. And the Condor figure was supposed to be a modern representation of him, even though it wasn't, because this guy was released in Brazil as Condor. So I knew, I didn't know if I was ever going to get a G.I. Joe classified version of that figure. So that's why I really wanted to get him. And then as it turns out, the Kerrick figure, I've just had so much fun photographing him. He's just that malice looking face on him, and just the bald head, the beard. He's just unexpectedly, he's turned into a really fun figure to have and photograph and play with.
Well, I always see you taking him down to the beach for your walks.
Yeah, so yeah, I've I suppose, yeah. Anytime I'm heading down, I try to shove one in my pocket for an photograph for sure.
That's really cool. Like, so you turned me on to the Action Force. Just so everybody that out there that sees my Action Force figures, Conor had sent me over. It was Condor.
Oh, yes, and it was. The logic of that was this is probably airborne for collecting classified. So that's why I was like, oh, I'll send them to Vern. That's where that came from. Yeah.
So that was really cool, and I really appreciate that you did that. The only problem now is I'm getting all the other ones.
Yeah, but they're a lot of fun, and I suppose going back to the last chat or the last conversation we had when I was on your stream, it's, to me, I always had multiple lines growing up. So my Action Force 5POA mixed in with my Star Wars, and then my Action Force 5POA mixed in with my GI Joe, or the extra articulated one. So there was always a mixed bag. So I love the fact that I can pick and choose, and if I don't like a particularly new figure, I won't go for it. And then I can, if I want to have an Action Force guy like Conor beating up a couple of Cobra Vipers, I have that option. That's right, yeah.
So the Desert Rat is basically based on an original Action Force character that was originally based on the original Action Man character, the Desert Rat, which is based on an actual unit of soldiers, right, that were dispatched into
So I think the look of the Action Man was taken from the soldiers that served in North Africa from the British military, and that was the look they used then from the 12-inch version down for the 3 3/4-inch version. So they just kind of replicated the look of those original Action Man figures down to the smaller version. That's where that came from. So they carried that name over.
Have you seen that they're doing a replica Action Man or Action Force figure for Joe Fest?
I saw that, yeah, the little 5POA one.
See, and this is I guess that goes back to that exclusive conversation I was having last week, where I was like, well, I'm not upset that they're doing exclusives. I'm not happy that I probably won't ever see them, but or in person, because I'm not going to Joe Fest, right? But I think it's great for everybody who's going there, and I'm pretty sure that G-Force is going to hook me up.
No. G-Force, you better hook Vern up, right? I know where you live. Actually, it's funny. It's April Fool's Day. I've been threatening G-Force for the last 2 years now that I have his address to have 2 ton of manure delivered to his driveway on April Fool's Day the last 2 years. So
that would be hilarious.
Hook up Vern, G-Force, or we're doing it. We're going to go in, and that'd be 4 ton of manure between the two of us into your driveway.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Gap After Dark joined us. Joseph Bett joined us. I'm trying to, if I miss somebody, I'm so sorry. Like trying to keep it in the back of my head, like whenever we have a moment. Let's see, collector is going to collect. Yep, that's right. Let's see. I did the same thing. Had every single Bruce Willis movie.
Bruce Willis, yeah.
So you were talking about physical media, and then there's a conversation going on about physical media, and then somebody said that George Lucas basically went into everybody's homes and swapped the original trilogy with the special editions. He didn't have to go into everybody's homes. What he did was he just released the special editions on VHS, then DVD, and everybody ran out and bought them anyways. And then they said, well, I don't need these old ones anymore. And then they tossed them and realized, oh, wait a minute, I'll never be able to watch the original version again.
As technology changes and develops, I don't have, and I certainly don't know anyone that still has a VHS player in their house. So
really,
yeah,
you do know somebody who has a VHS player.
Do you have one? Do you?
Yeah. Right. Look, I'm going to show you this right here. So I even have a TV,
so it connects to it, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Sony Trinitron, and I have that only because you need a TV like that to use the Nintendo game gun when you're playing Duck Hunt.
Okay.
With an original system, because the way that the system worked, it was like it blacks out the screen or something like that for like a split second, and then it registers where the white dot is or something like that. I don't know, something. There's some sort of technicality, and you can't replicate that on a plasma or an LCD. It has to be on like one of these. Was developed for this technology. It still works.
That's awesome.
I don't turn it on very often though, because there's no way to replace it.
Yeah, but as time goes on or time develops, I suppose, you know, eventually we won't be able to play DVD players on anything, and we won't, Blu-ray will probably pass. It'll probably all go streaming soon, and then something else, a holographic display where you don't even need a screen on a watcher, something in the future.
It's true. In 2005, they had built a new building in the place where I was working, and they decided to do a time capsule, and it was like buried under like the flagpole or whatever, and it's supposed to be opened up in like 50 years or something like that. So they just asked everybody to contribute something. So I contributed a CD with pictures on it, and I wrote a note explaining to everybody what that disc was and how to use it, right? Because I figured maybe in 50 years, nobody's using CDs anymore. And if you go to buy a laptop today, there's no CD drive.
No.
Typically in a new computer. So unfortunately, when we get to 50 years, nobody's going to have a CD drive to be able to fire up that disc.
Unless someone puts 1 and 1 together and gets 3 and tries to put it on a record player.
Yeah, they're gonna. Who knows what they're gonna do, right? I still have my original Blu-ray discs for Star Wars Empire and Return of the Jedi. So that's kind of one of the ways that I can watch the original Star Wars. So that's how come I know that Greedo didn't shoot first or shoot at all, I think. And then a few years ago, these guys found some original prints of Star Wars in like old movie theaters or something like that. And they restored it, and then took like digital of every frame, and they restored like a 4K version of the original Star Wars. And for a while it was available online. I don't know if that got the kibosh, but it was some private group did it, and they painstakingly restored this thing. And they were actively looking for Empire and Jedi to do those as well. But the only one I ever heard that they did was Star Wars.
Star Wars.
New Hope. Let's see. I'm going to try to pick up as many as I can. I'll only be there on Saturday. Oh, I heard they were going to be sold out on Saturday. Gap has a VHS player. Now 2 people.
Oh, 2
players here. Exclusives or something I don't chase down. Yeah. Well, what's interesting is like when going to the exclusive. So I have that Kenner colored Boba Fett that they gave away. That they sold at Comic-Con, and you had to 1, be going to the event. 2, you had to win like the auction kind of to get in line, right?
Okay.
And then you had to stand in the line at your allotted time, and the line was about an hour and a half just to get up to the front, and then they had to not have sold out for the day.
By the time you got up there.
Yeah, by the time you got up there.
A lot of them turned up though afterwards online, didn't they? And
what they did was they supposedly had some that they resold on their website like a month after Comic-Con was over. And the problem that I had with that was on Sunday at around noon, they said sold out for the convention. I have a picture of their like banner with all the stuff that was sold out, and everything that was sold out, they then had on their website like a month later.
Yeah.
And I think that is wrong to everybody who went to the convention. Right? They should have given everybody who went to the convention the first opportunity.
The opportunity to get it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that could, I never really understand exclusives because like the economy of scales aren't there to manufacture a smaller amount of a product like that. So I know it might, so in some cases it's just a color change. So, but I have a feeling that those particular Desert Rat figures will be available afterwards.
Oh, I'm sure, but not. I'm guessing probably not through Valaverse.
No, probably because is it Sean Solo? That's
It's SeanSolo Creations.
Sean Solo's doing it. So there's a possibility that again, this guy that produces stuff, he's independent. He's putting his own money up for it and funding it. So there's a strong possibility that he's going to want to get money back on his investment or his outlay. So and of course, with him having such a big fan base in the UK, and no one from the UK is going to get to go to Joe Fest, it's only a good feeling. I've nothing to no proof or evidence to back this up, but I have a funny feeling that they're going to come up available for UK residents afterwards.
Yeah, I would imagine that he would want to do that. I'm wondering, how much Valaverse commissioned him to do this figure though, and how much they paid him to maybe not do something like that.
So well, I suppose that comes to, it's like the old license debate that we all get into for the Black Series, but you find in a lot of cases like this, it's an agreement that they can do something. So say for the license argument, a lot of people say, oh, the Star Wars license is very expensive, but in any other industry, that comes into the marketing budget, and you have to sort of pay a license fee to a manufacturer to go and produce those products. I don't know why it comes across different for the toy industry. So, and because this guy is a small independent toy producer, I can't imagine that there was any big contracts written up for. Again, this is just me guessing. I've nothing to go on, and based off that, I think he'll have some available in the UK afterwards.
Oh, well, I'm hoping that's the case, because I think it's really important for certain figures to be available. And I kind of do agree with what everybody's saying about and you about the exclusives not necessarily being exclusives anymore. I agree that maybe there shouldn't be an exclusive, especially if it's a mainline type character, right? We're talking about Serpentor and the Air Chariot last week, and I was saying that should have never been branded as an exclusive, because the original one came with an Air Chariot, right? But the way I see it is they could have done that same thing, but packaged it differently, and then made it with that packaging. It's an exclusive, like they did Comic-Con, Jen Urso, and Boba Fett and stuff like that.
I think they restocked that twice as well. So the initial run. I can see what Chris is saying there as well about having a collection and missing out on a couple of things, and just knowing you're never going to get them, that they're that rare. It does. It leaves a sour taste in your mouth if you're invested in a line or a product, or as you said, trading cards. That would send nuts.
When they relaunched that GI Joe Classified line, that was that first figure, that Snake Eyes, came out the year and month that my grandson was born. So I was like, I'm going to be collecting these GI Joes, and I'm going to make sure that he has a whole set of Joes, that he could say, oh, they relaunched it when I was born. So just follow along with him. And at that point, I was doing like doubles and putting one aside. And then they got to those Cobra Island Troopers, which were Target exclusives. And there was no way to get one. And they were on eBay for $200. And I was like, there's no way, I'm never paying that. And I canceled the Supreme Cobra Commander, because I was like, well, if I can't get these, there's no sense in trying to be a completionist. So I canceled that one. And then now, a year after that, they released those Cobra Island Troopers kind of as more of a general unexclusive, and now they're not exclusives anymore. They were available on Pulse and whatever, and through Entertainment Earth or something like that, and they were more readily available. Then I was kind of like, oh, there's no way to get that Supreme Cobra Commander because he was an exclusive. And I'm like thinking, well, they're re-releasing the Serpentor and the Mindbender. They should re-release that Supreme Cobra Commander. You know?
Yeah. Well, I suppose I missed out on that. I didn't go. I wasn't really into the line when they were doing those. I did want the Cobra Troopers.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I just to quickly touch off the license argument, and I funny enough, I only said this to Chris recently, I think, in a conversation. Jonathan made a good point. If you walk into any dollar store or Euro store, you can buy a Star Wars product.
Yeah,
it might be a pencil case, it might be something else. But you can buy these cheap stuff with Star Wars plastered over it. But I remember when The Force Awakens came out, a bag of clementine, small oranges. We call them mandarin oranges over here.
Yes. Okay.
In Tesco or Aldi, and they all had Kylo Ren, Star Wars on the little.
Yeah, just the licensing is crazy. Like the stuff that comes with the Star Wars on it. Yeah.
To me, that whole license fee is a lost argument.
I'm getting a lot of comments on that now. I'm not telling anybody my age. I'm over half a century, folks.
But those Cobra Troopers, we couldn't get them over here. I think they were UK Pulse exclusives.
Okay.
And I wasn't really dipping into the line when they came out. But again, they're impossible to get over here. I would love them in my collection. I don't have them. So
you don't have one.
No, I've only got the infantry troopers. I got a couple of them, but
not the target, not the target or the Cobra Island one.
No, but I'm presuming they're going to re-release them at some stage because you can't have Cobra without the Cobra Troopers. But
exactly.
That's why, and that was a big thing. Well, no, I went all in for the His tank when it was announced, but the Cobra Commander then that's coming with the His tank is a big one for me to add in because he looks like the vintage Cobra Commander.
Sure. Yeah. And that's the thing too, is do you remember when they released the Cobra Commander, the original promo pics, he was in like this light blue outfit. And people were upset when the final product pictures came out and he was like in that darker blue. So they did a limited release of that light blue Commander, but they did it through some like real obscure website here. And it was like, I remember I signed up for it. I had everything in order just on launch day. And it was like, it was another one of those like 0.7 seconds. Like as long as I leave chat comments up, that's how long it took for them to be like done. It didn't. Yeah. So they probably had like 3 of them.
Based on the chat comments, spot 0.0003 of a second, I think we calculated at one point.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So yeah, since it's got tougher then as well with the law changes inside the EU. So anything coming into the EU, we just get slammed with custom charges, which never wasn't really there before. So even now the UK, if we order from the UK, we're getting hit delivery and customs charge. And see, it's nearly costing the same as the product you're buying to get it shipped over.
Yeah, the retro Target exclusive. Yeah, but you know, in a year, I think what they said last time about those exclusives for the stores was like it's only exclusive to that store for a year now, and then it's free for them to like whatever. But going on to rumors, I am wearing this because I may or may not have heard a rumor. Just throw that out there. Just kidding. It's the only clean shirt I had. Let's see. I'll trade you the 00 snake eyes for that exclusive Action Force. You went. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me?
And this car G-Force and this car. Go all in. Get what you can out of them. Milk them.
Custom charges are absolute killer now when it comes to buying stuff from the UK or US. Always get hit by customs. Yeah. So what is the import? So when you get something, if somebody were to send you something, like just say, and it's like a $20 figure, right? Do you have to pay a customs charge on that?
So you can send a gift up to I'm not. I think I heard about €15 or €20, and but if I buy something off, say, eBay Marketplace from the UK, or someone's sending you something as a gift, they just put down €5 value and it just slips through. So what's happening is, so in the UK, GI Joe have gone Hasbro Pulse only, so you can only get them through that website. Although some other toy stores are importing them themselves now, given the popularity of the line. But if there was, so I didn't go for Serpentor because I never really liked the character. He was, to me, Cobra Commander is the real and only leader of Cobra. Yeah. So, and I could see this, which was unfortunate, the struggles that other guys were having getting them. So we have your US Postal Service, we have OnPost over here, and they run a service in the US and the UK where you can get something sent to them and they'll deliver it over here to you, and which is great. So I think from the UK it costs about $7, and then it's about $16 to get something shipped over from the US. The only problem is, because it's coming through their system, they'll hit you with the customs charge.
I see.
Which is about 20%. So when you go up to pay for something at the register, they'll put your tax on it. Over here, it's built into the price of the product. So if I buy something for $16.99, I'll pay $16.99 in store. But when you're buying something, you get hit with the customs. So if I buy a €30 figure and I pay, so with Valaverse, use the Valaverse. So the figure's $35. It's $8 shipping flat rate, I think it is. Then $17 to get it shipped over, and then they're going to hit me with the custom of 20% of the 35.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's
so, and it's a little less from the UK because the shipping charges are smaller and the forwarding service is smaller. So it's hit the hobby hard.
Yeah, so it's interesting because I know Wheels of Chaotic Doom can probably speak on what they're doing in Australia, because apparently, like Australia, it's really expensive to get stuff shipped down there as well. But I didn't realize it was that bad with shipping charges and the customs charges and stuff like that, because that's a big deal.
Yeah, but and Darkside Toys never got hit for customs.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
So, and I think they're on like $10 to ship over here. So if I bought something from Darkside, right? Okay, it would take 3 weeks to arrive, but I only paid €10 delivery. So I think the average charge we're paying here for delivery from Irish stores is about €6. So it wasn't that expensive, and it always slipped through customs, and it would just arrive a couple of weeks later. So Darkside Toys gone was just a massive blow, particularly from I used them a good few times, and I don't know, whatever way they obviously done their paperwork, they didn't declare a value on it, and it just slipped right through every time.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. So with that Serpentor, I was never really a big fan of Serpentor either, but I did like the Air Chariot. It reminds me a lot of Flash Gordon, and just the idea behind it, I think, is really cool. And it was really, for me, more about getting like a vehicle of some kind, right? Like, and kind of like a flying vehicle. I'm looking forward to that Hawkeye and that little air sled that he has, because I think that one looks really cool as well.
Oh yeah, that's a nice set. No, I suppose, for some people that watch the cartoon, Serpentor was a big character for them, and that they were all in for it. If that had been a Cobra Commander with some extra accessories that was about, exclusive 40, I would have been the same, trying to hunt it down and get it shipped over. So I can understand people going in for it.
Yeah. Jonathan's blaming you for Dorkside going out of business because they had to pay all your shipping fees. No, it's interesting because didn't they have a Valaverse exclusive?
Yeah, so it was a Desert Trooper. I can't remember the actual name of the character. But
did that ever ship out, or is that still limbo?
No, so Valaverse took the stock and distributed it through his own website then. and
Oh, I see. Okay.
found out since. Funny enough, I wasn't going after that one because I didn't really like. I know it sounds petty, but I didn't like the boots on it. The figure, the color of the boots didn't really fit in for the desert. They were kind of like a light grey look. So I was passing on him anyway.
Well, last week these guys, Steve and Waze, they had this really in-depth conversation about Star Wars, but I don't know how much you know about like Star Wars lore and like do you read the books and all that kind of stuff?
No, I never read Star Wars books. I read the Tron trilogy years ago, and I don't even remember sort of facets of it. And
yeah, these guys had like a lot of knowledge about it, and I just don't have that either. Like, because honestly, I'm not that deep in like reading the books or whatever and stuff like that. But did you see The Mandalorian this week?
Yeah, and so
anything good happen?
So for me, I don't want to delve into the lore. I don't need to know everything. I just want to watch Star Wars and feel like I'm 6 years old sitting on the couch and, a kid again. And The Mandalorian this week, so you tell them, G-Force. The Mandalorian this week did that. It hit it. See you, Chris. Thanks for popping by.
Yeah.
But it really did. It really hit that sort of childlike vibe inside me. And I felt like a giddy child watching the Mandalorian sort of flying in and getting dropped down, the big fight scene, and then we had the aerial battle with Mando and Bo-Katan against the pirates. Yeah, I loved it. I was like an excited bounce on the couch watching it.
So I thought it was really good. I mean, obviously I made a figure based on, a cameo in the episode, but I think that the entire episode was pretty good. The downside to like what they tried to do in the episode, and I'm picking apart like not the story, but what they were able to accomplish in the filming. The city looks like it's getting pretty big, and it looked like they have a lot of people there, but when they escaped out into the desert area, there were only like 20 people there. So I feel like now there's more Mandalorians on the planet than the people that live on Navarro in the first place. So they doubled their population. But secondly,
they probably could have done a bit of CGI to
that's what I'm saying. Like, made that group bigger. It couldn't have been that hard to add in the crowd.
So
go ahead.
When I saw that scene, now it's funny you brought that up, because I did think similar. When I saw that scene, it brought me back. As much as I really enjoyed Mando season 1 and 2, I just felt, and as good as the volume was for creating that universe and those scenes, I just felt there was a scale problem when you're watching all the scenes. You don't feel like if you remember when C-3PO and R2 were on Tatooine and the camera would span around, you'd see the whole desert. And Star Wars was always expansive. Like Endor, they were on the moon and they were hiking through the woods, and then they were looking at the Imperial base, and there was always an element of scale, and it just wasn't there in Mando season 1 and 2. And then this season, that's really improved, and I sort of noticed that myself. I was like, yeah, it's really sort of, you're getting that more expansive scenes and feel from some of them, the scenes, and then they go and show like the high magistrate and 20 people that fled.
He has these droids. He has these engineers. I didn't even think I saw the engineers in the people who evacuated. Jonathan here is saying that nobody had a speeder, right? Which is also another interesting thing, that they didn't have like a bus to take everybody out of town. Of course, G-Force is saying it's a walking town. And it's just weird to me. And then like when the Mandalorians came in with their jetpacks, I thought, man, this is going to be like really cool. But it wasn't like they weren't very tactical. Like they easily.
They're still training. We only saw them training there last week, so this is a new crew. This is a new team.
Right. That little flying creature abruptly ended their beach training.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But you're right though. It was fun to sit down and like watch. And
yeah, look, I felt 6, and that's all I want from Star Wars. And I know there's plenty of channels out there that go raging over this and upset over that, and there's people that want to dig into this. And
there were a whole lot of predictions yesterday. Left Coast did his stream. They had a whole bunch of predictions on that. I'm not going to go into everything they said, but I'm not buying like half of them.
Well, left coast theories are they're the universe of their own.
Oh, and thanks for bringing this up, Jonathan. Mandalorian is getting surrounded by pirates because they forgot they had jetpacks. Yeah. And then the pirates. Did you see the little Ugnaught pirate dude? Was he from Snow White or something? or kept the Peter Pan or whatever. He had that striped shirt on.
I didn't notice that one.
On the ship with the guy who looks like a plant. They had the one little pirate dude, and he was an Ugnaught. I think he was an Ugnaught.
I saw him, yeah.
And his shirt, he looked like he was wearing some like striped knitted shirt. He looked like he had his hat and his hair is coming down from the side. I just was like, I think this dude was in Hook with
I'll watch it. No, I haven't watched it the second time. I'll be trying to watch them twice. So I'm busy this week, but I'll certainly try and I'll certainly be rewatching it probably tomorrow at some stage.
Yeah, Joseph, I had been looking for an audiobook, but what I really need is a recommendation on what should I start with. So you want to give me one that you think is like the best one to get me started that will really hook me and make me want to like listen to more, and then I'll give that one a try. Because I do listen in the car when I'm driving back and forth to work to stuff, and I think it would be great to like find one. Just I haven't, I think, had anything recommended to me as like, hey, this is a good one. Subpar, 7 figures, then one of Rick's theories. Correct. I'm not saying anything. I mean, he's got his theories. He's gonna stand by them, and he could be right. I'm not making any theories. I'm really not, except for the fact that I think that like the Mando is not going to be the leader. I think it's going to be Bo-Katan. I think she's going to ride the Mythosaur. I think that it's either Paz Vizsla is probably going to step up and be maybe her number 2 or be the leader somehow. And I don't see the Mandalorian carrying the Darksaber after this season.
Ooh. I don't like to make predictions, but
yeah,
if Mando is the one to ride. Funny, I don't know if it's going to happen this season or not. They might try and drag it out. But if Mando rides the Mythosaur with Baby Yoda in one hand and the Darksaber in the other, that's the show over. They can't. This is the problem they have. They rush a character up to that level of greatness, and they can't really go anywhere with the show then. After
because he's gonna have to be the leader. But the thing is like they did that whole episode where he's trying to convince everybody to go fight on Navarro, and everybody was sitting in the crowd going, "Yeah, no, who is this guy trying to tell us what to do?" It wasn't until Paz Vizsla got up and said, "We're Mandalorians, we're gonna go fight," that everybody agreed that they were gonna go fight. And I know it's like they were saying it's like a crowd scene or whatever, but I really don't think that anybody there is willing to follow Mando. And he supposedly already has the Darksaber, so that should trump everything, and just they should automatically follow him because of it, right?
Yeah, but then are they a separate cult? So maybe they're not aware of the lore of the Darksaber the way Bo-Katan's family or her people were on Mandalore. So
yeah,
because they're loyal to the armor and the creed. Maybe that's the difference.
And then I'm wondering what's the thing about the helmet, because I mean, if they know that the waters are accessible, then everybody should just be taking off their helmets, and then they could just take day trips over to Mandalore to like bathe in the waters. So, I mean, or does it only like work give you retribution one time? You know what I mean? Don't come back until you've like bathed in the waters.
I'd certainly have a barrel of
you just bring a barrel. You took your helmet off. Go jump in that pool over there. So Jonathan's saying something about the sailing ship had a big sailing ships have the big wheels, and he wants to know how that works on a spaceship. There's a show on HBO with that guy who was in that medical show House. What's it called? They're on a big cruise ship in space, and he's supposedly the captain of the ship. And then they get bumped off course, and they're going to be like gone for like 3 years. And it's a comedy, but like it turns out that this big bridge where they have all this like the bridge crew and the big wheel where he like steers the ship, it's all fake. They're all actors playing like a part for all the people on the cruise ship, and the real guys steering the ship are back down in some engineering room. It's like 4 people. Anyways. All right. Anyways, so I do have memberships on my channel, and if you're a member of my channel, you do have access to these special emojis for the hot or not segment that we're going to do right now. These are going to be like the week's reveals and stuff like that. So you can use those to share your feelings on what you think is hot and what you think is not in these action figure reveals. And even if you don't use those emojis or want to, feel free to join the channel. I'm just kidding. I don't know. That's just me.
Do it. It's awesome.
I do post some stuff on the community post for members, just like little previews and stuff like that. But I've been trying to figure out how to release videos early without having to go back in there and then make it public. Because, you know, right now I can schedule a video to like go public at a certain time. But if I've already made it available for members, I don't know how to then schedule it to go public. And I guess maybe I just need to look at it a little bit more. But because I'd like to do that.
Isn't it private? If you have it set to private, you can share the link.
Yeah, but if you have it set to private, I think anybody can go in there and just find it ahead of time. And I don't know if that's
only if it's linked to as far as you know, only if you add it to a playlist.
Oh, okay, like a playlist. Okay.
If you don't add it to a playlist, it'll stay private, bar who you give the link to, and then you can go with it.
Start period interested in. So there you go. GeForce used the hot or not, and I did do a lava one because somebody said lava one week, so I did build one for lava in case you want to do really hot. Sir Eric Brown is listening in the car, so let's say hello to Eric. Everybody in the chat, type in there, say hey Eric, and
cargo on board. Look after us.
Yeah, he can read all those comments while he's sitting at the stoplight, as long as no police officer pulls up alongside of him. And, you know, I didn't have a lot of time this week because usually what I do is I'll try to make the thumbnail for next week's show like right away. And then like in the middle of the week, I like to put some pictures of like some of the figures that get revealed during the week on like the final thumbnail. But man, I just did not have a chance to go through and redo this thumbnail. So we're stuck with this one. You like how I put your head on Sean's little, and then I put your little logo on the shirt.
Well, it's nice and thin, so I appreciate that. I'll take that, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Anyways, the first one, and I was looking for the pictures. I saw some pictures of this Dusty. That's the Tiger Force, but I couldn't actually find pictures of it. But except for like some really crummy one. But I'm thinking, do we really need a Tiger Force Dusty right now?
No, this was a strange reveal. So
it's like one of the guys on the GI Joe team says, why don't we just repaint this one?
Straight up.
Target.
No, I'm gonna call this not.
Yeah, me too. I'm very disappointed. This is probably one of the first biggest disappointment reveals that I've seen, and yeah, it's almost like, oh, this better not be a sign of stuff to come. I don't know.
I look, I can understand a company trying to just repaint a product, repackage it, and sell it again, but Dusty, the Dusty figure had a few problems, you know.
Do you have the Dusty?
I do, yeah, and
I didn't even bother getting them.
The helmet doesn't sit on the head; it's loose; it keeps falling off.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay,
so,
I didn't even bother. I was like, no, didn't like the way he looked in the first place.
Yeah, I like it's without the helmet and the gear. It's a good, like, it's a nice figure. I know people say it's a copy of Duke's face. They are similar, but I probably would have liked a more rugged face on him, considering he's out in the sand. But you can see here they have him in the Tiger Force fatigues, which are more jungle based, and they've used the same photography with him out in the middle of a sandstorm. So I'm going to call this one a lazy repaint.
I totally agree with you on that. I want to say this because Eric's driving the car. GeForce wants to know what Eric thought about the Bantha HasLab. Does it have enough LEDs for you?
No comment, Eric. I'm not getting into that one.
All right, and Joseph's giving me a bunch of audiobooks to
good show, Joseph.
I'm gonna definitely try one of those out. That version of Dusty looks like a knockoff figure. Yeah, it's a knockoff of the not Tiger Force Dusty. Tiger Force Python Patrol. All right, anyways, I saw these. This is like not a final product, but it's from Fury Toys. And this came from Stateverse. He was the one that like tweeted this out. And I'm kind of like, I feel kind of like that shark creature from the DC, you know, that they came out with. The
from Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Except for this is more of what, like the hammerhead shark or whatever, because of the eyes. And I'm thinking, well, I don't know. It looks kind of cool, but I feel like it's kind of like too close to that other one. And I have the other, the Suicide Squad one. So I don't think I need another Shark Man type thing, but still looks cool.
Yeah, looks nice.
Yeah.
We need a maybe option. Hot, not maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Interesting articulation, though. Be interesting to see when it finally comes out.
Okay, so these are from SH Figure Arts, and these are like, did you ever watch Ultraman?
No. So that one passed me.
Okay, so like Ultraman was like when I was a kid, I used to like watch Ultraman. So like I'm kind of into these a little bit. I'm not going to get this guy, but I think he does look kind of cool, especially with the long tail. It looks like it has some articulation in there and stuff like that. So I think getting these, if you're a big Ultraman fan and you've got your Ultraman figure set up, I think that one's actually a really cool, enemy to get. But I'm more about like right now, if they come out with more Super Sentai stuff, I'm gonna get those, or maybe even some Kamen Riders. I'm looking at Kamen Rider V3. That's the one I'm looking for at a decent price. Okay, let's see. Bad is saying to YouTube called Utini, and they provide you with a list of great books. Okay, so still Jonathan's cool Ultraman monster, but a pass. Yeah. No, nobody's using the emoji, so it's fine. So what do you think about this? Is Mattel Creations version of the HasLab, this Nitro stage? It's like $400 or something like that.
It's a bit excessive, isn't it? Like for what it is. Okay, if you're collecting wrestling figures, it's going to look awesome for photographies on display, but okay. Not to drag up an old argument with Eric, but it does have a lot of nice LED lights on it. So,
okay, so they had this on display at Comic-Con last year. I think I posted a picture of it, and then I was looking for a video because I think I sat there and filmed it for a while, and with the lights, because they're not just stagnant on, right? It's like they flash kind of, and it looked really, really cool. And I'm just thinking, like, if you're a big WCW Nitro or wrestling or whatever, to have this like entrance for the WCW, I think it just looks really stunning if you have like a place to display like your figures, the opening, and it could look really good on a shelf. I just don't think it's,
But
for the price.
that,
Oh, I think,
okay, that's a toy.
yeah.
That's a toy. Like any
It is.
kid that's into wrestling is going to want to have this on the floor beside their wrestling ring. I just think
This is
so.
not 400. This one, it's not $400.
Oh, this
I
one
agree
is
with that. So Mattel can crank out a semi truck for their figures for $30. They can put out a 1989 Batman Batmobile for $60, and they're going to tell you that this is $400. That's where I have a problem.
Yeah, this is marketed directly at collectors and collectors' wallets, adult collectors with incomes, and so we in the angling community or the fishing community, we have an expression that we call people tackle tarts. And it's people that go in and buy all these lures with fancy colours that don't really make a difference to your fishing. And you'll see a fella come in and he'll buy 10 of these fancy lures, and we call him a tackle tart. And I think that's what that's aimed at. It's going for a particular kind of collector that I just think that's excessive for $400.
The fancy lures don't work? The fancy lures, they don't work?
Some of them don't. It depends on how you use them. But like that's to me, that's sort of predatory marketing. It's directed at adult collectors, and it's knocking kids out of the opportunity of having a toy like that to play with.
Sure, unless they have a parent who's also collecting along with them.
Yeah, but who's gonna let the kid do the $400
right? Like, who's gonna buy this and then let you play with it, right?
Yeah.
All right. What about these guys? Are you vintage collection? Do you collect any vintage collection?
No. So I never got back into the 3 3/4 line, and possibly I was always kind of sorry because some of the Saga and Star Wars Legacy figures were absolutely brilliant, and they came with like little world building pieces and accessories that I'd love to see done at the 6-inch level, particularly for the prices that they're charging for them. So a set like this for the 3 3/4 inch is fantastic. And
I think it looks
great
stunning.
just a world build out a shelf for display, or it's still affordable for a kid that's playing with the Star Wars figures to have that variety of Tusken Raiders to play with. So I'm going to call this one a serious hot.
Yeah. I think for me, it's kind of like I'm a middle of the road on this one. I don't collect the vintage collection. I'm looking at all of the soft goods on there, and I wonder how long it took them to like fluff out every piece of fabric to make them look like that. So unfortunately for me, I don't think that if I got these, they're ever going to look like that. And they're going to be in that closed box. So you can't display them in the box. So, you can't put it up and see them. So you have to take them out of the box. And I just think that they're going to look really messy. They're never going to look kind of like this, which looks fantastic unless you spend a couple of hours, fluffing them out and setting them up. I don't know.
Yeah, but when I suppose when I see something with it, I just try and go back to think how I don't sort of see them from. And I to this day, I still don't really see toys from an adult collector perspective. I see them from how I would have played with them or how I could have enjoyed them, and that's why I started using that playability factor thing at the end of my videos. It was just it was my sort of twist on doing something a little bit different that I think, there is value in this, or I could play with this. And like,
well, what's the playability factor on something like this that's in 3 3/4 inch with all those soft goods?
So again, world building. If I was back with my Luke and my Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Tusken Raider knocked Luke over and Obi-Wan was scaring them all off, I'd have a few Tusken Raiders to fill out play scene or to play with on the floor, and they all look different, which was something, anyone that was lucky enough to have two of the same character from Star Wars growing up, they would have just been identical. So my childlike imagination is just exploding seeing this.
I think that because when I was little and I had those Star Wars figures with the vinyl capes all came off.
Yeah.
I have a feeling like this soft goods for if a kid's playing with it, those soft goods are mostly going to come off. And I think that then you run the risk of some of these guys just looking like the rest of them, except for their base colors, that I wish that some of that soft goods was more plastic. People are going to be upset that I said that because people like soft goods. But
yeah,
I think collectors like soft goods, but I think for playability, I don't think the soft goods worked out, especially if you're giving it to a kid.
Unfortunately, it'll be far more adults getting these than kids. So
yeah, that's true. And everybody's saying hot in the chat. So I mean, then obviously they're hot. So what about this dude?
So I'm torn. I enjoyed the Clone Wars. I like the three prequel films. I always liked the prequels. I got when they were out in the cinema, I got a lot out of them. I enjoyed them for what they were. So I just don't have a love for the characters from it the way I do with the original trilogy. So it's a great looking action figure. Comes with a couple of accessories. I'm going to call it hot based on that because I think it looks good. It comes with nice accessories. I won't be going in for it myself, but I'm sure prequel fans, and I know there's a lot of big prequel fans out there, which is something I only learned from the toy community, seeing people going nuts on all the clones, which I actually enjoy, seeing that love for the Clone Wars or the prequel. So based on that and knowing that people are going to enjoy getting a bad guy for their clones figures, I'm going to call it hot.
Okay. And I like this figure too. It's the Pike, and I like the fact that they are coming out with them. I'm only going to need one for my Black Chrysanthemum to be throwing. That's pretty much the only one I'm going to need. But actually, maybe four. That will be four of them against my two Gourmet and Guards to force them off the side of the shelf up here. I mean, but other than that, I mean, like you're right. I like it, and I like the fact that this is not. See how this is not like soft goods, but they split like the cape. So I think he's going to have a little bit more articulation, be able to articulate the legs a little bit better because of the way that bottom piece is molded. So I think that they did overall a fairly decent job there. I think that his arm articulation may be hindered a little bit by those sleeves. He won't be able to get that full upward motion, but I think that's going to be fine because when Black Chrysanthemum has him in his grip, he's not going to have much to be able to do. Let's see. Is that Pike figure even out this year? No, probably not. 2027, I think. No, Mr. B is saying 2024. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
But there's no pre-order, or is it? Or oh no, it is available for pre-order pretty soon, right? I didn't understand that whole pre-order thing. Was it just the one stream? None of that stuff was going to be available for pre-order?
But we don't know because this wasn't announced on the stream. This came out later, didn't it? This came out afterwards, so it just kind of circulated.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
We don't know. So what's the point in having a stream with announcements if they only announce some things and release others? I think the whole thing is just confused. The whole marketing there.
Yeah, they don't know what they're doing.
I don't think so.
G-Force is saying that any figure with a long coat or skirt of some sort, he knows it won't articulate properly. So he says that is a not hot. So I would like to see a review video before I buy it. That's from Joseph, because the legs might be janky.
Well, Black Series are guaranteed tiny feet, so it will have those issues.
Look, and then my professional slideshow, I left a blank slide in there. Then they announced these D&D figures. I'm gonna have to say that, like, for these D&Ds, I'm gonna have to see the movie before, like, I really say whether or not I'm gonna want any of them. But just based on D&D and this thing here, it looks really cool, but it's not for me.
No, it looks awesome. Great paintwork. The eyeball and the teeth looks phenomenal. Great details on it. Phenomenal sculpt.
I'm just like not sure what I would do. Well, maybe. I mean, you know what would be hilarious? I'll tell you the only reason I would get this. So I could do one shot of Indiana Jones running like he's running from that little rolling ball, but I would put this thing behind him.
Yeah, that would look awesome.
And I could probably do that with Photoshop.
This is exactly what's wrong with modern toy collecting, right? So we have a movie out in the cinema or due out in the cinema, and I presume it's marketed to kids, around kids. The movie, I know they've never played Dungeons and Dragons. If it's aimed at adults, I would like to see it a little more R-rated, kind of like the way Deadpool is to our Logan, which was written for adults. But if it's written for kids, the toys should be marketed for kids. So they've, if they're bringing out a kids movie, but they're marketing the toys to adults, just for me, there's a disconnect there.
I think this movie's kind of an in-between. I think if I looked at Willow, I would say that's definitely marketed for a much younger audience. And that's probably why I really couldn't get into it as much. But I think this D&D looks like it's marketed to be like to go either way, because from the trailer, it looks very interesting to me. And, I did play Dungeons and Dragons when I was younger. And so, I was interested in it. But I mean, when I go to the store and I see those boxes, looking at those boxes doesn't make me want to get the figure, because I see the artwork of what the character is supposed to look like, and then the supposed photograph of what the figure looks like, but I can't really see the figure. So it's kind of one of these things where I'm like, they don't even look like the people in the movies. So what do I really want it for?
Yeah. I'm going
to G-Force says it's not hot. JT thinks this was in Big Trouble in Little China. And it looks like Jonathan is looking for it on clearance.
I'm going to say not.
All right. Oh, and that Pike is available for pre-order. Now, this is kind of an interesting creature. These are kind of like the best pictures that I could find of these, by the way. But this guy, to me, may be something that I'll pick up just because it's an articulated like animal, and he looked pretty articulated. And I think it would be really cool for like photography. I mean, I can just imagine having this thing fighting timber.
Yeah. I don't know. 6 legs turn me off. But I think that the tentacles or talons that are coming off them look pretty cool with the teeth on them.
Yeah. I think just setting everything aside and saying, oh, okay, not even thinking this is a D&D, I think I might be looking for this thing.
Yeah, particularly because the other one didn't look articulated. But you see this one does. I would go and maybe on this. I'm sure I'll see the film, but I just don't think I'll be rushing out for any of the merch from it.
Yeah, they do. The D&D movie is getting some really good reviews. I have heard that. Okay, so G-Force is skipping right to the owlbear, and the cat look better than the one-eyed monster. So he's saying this cat looks good, but he's actually talking about this owlbear. And honestly, I'm probably going to get this.
I think that's cool.
I think it's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, I can see the articulation in this one, and you can. So this one with having those pictures with those dynamic poses, straight away you see I can have fun with this guy. So
yeah, I'm just thinking like I got that the Grizzly Build-A-Figure, right? I don't even remember the name of the character, but you got Yeah, the Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure, and then having another figure about that size, big and bulky, that looks like an owl. Man, these things, it just looks cool.
Yeah, it's kind of bonkers, but works. Yeah, I like it. I'm gonna say hot.
Yeah, and with the size of this guy, and because I have a whole bunch of 12-inch GI Joe weapons and side equipment, I can totally deck this guy out with probably like bullet straps and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I'm thinking is like, man, because he's probably bigger than the rest of the figures and stuff like that, I think I can use those 12-inch stuff with him. I just think it looks
very Owlbear.
Hulk versus Owlbear, yeah. Let's see. I think this is the only creature I would get out of the toy line.
Yeah, Ricardo. I'm like I said, I just think it's just bonkers enough that it works.
Yeah, it's just different, right? Like,
yeah,
man, that's cool. And G-Force is using the hot emoji, so obviously I think we'll see that in the end of one of his toy hunts. These are the what are they, 112 or whatever, or Mayfex, or I can't remember. I think the 112, right? Let me look. This is my it's the Storm X-Men figure, and I'm kind of like, this is not like the X-Men that I'm really interested in. So like, I'm not going to get this figure, but I think like for people who are really this 90s X-Men or whatever, I think these are like, they look really, really cool. But for me, I'm a pass on it, but I still think it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it looks hot. Definitely a hot figure, and they've really captured that look of the 90s Storm. I'm trying to think, was the X yellow or red background on the TV show? But it looks
I can't remember. Yeah,
it does look cool. Definitely hot, but
yeah. So that's the Mayfex, so Medicom or whatever. And I think they look good. They always do the good thing where they put the multiple faces and heads in there. So I think that's really cool. I think I'm going to, let's see, looks like Mayfex promo shots. That's what it is. Joseph saying, ooh. And then Ricardo, it's just a cool looking figure. And then G-Force is not thrilled with the face sculpt. Yeah, I think some of them kind of look a little off, but I think for the most part, I mean, it does look like an awesome figure. And if you're into this one, then definitely you're probably into Cyclops here, which is like the next one from the same group. These are promo shots of him too. I'm not a fan of this outfit.
No, and it's different than the 90s cartoon, which is where I knew X-Men from. I didn't read the comics, so
my Cyclops that I want is that, like, that one that's in that Dark Phoenix Cyclops 2-pack that's really expensive. He's all in blue except for the yellow trunk shorts and then the belt, and he's got a full blue head with like just his visor and stuff like that. That's the one that I'm looking at.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the X-Men I like. It's more classic. Angry. Let's see. JT saying, I like your multiple head sculpts. Angry, and angry with teeth. Yeah, he's talking about Storm. The outfit's off. Yeah, I don't know why it is. I don't never like this version of the Cyclops with the white X over him. It just, I don't know. Not a good Cyclops. Add a brown bomber jacket. If I had the brown bomber jacket, I could take it off and put it on my Carson Teva figure. Then I can take them out of this. I was looking through my figures today because I wanted to find that Poe figure where he's got the black leather jacket, because I was going to put that on my Carson Teva. But anyways, Ricardo, awesome stream as always. I have to check out for today. Everyone have a great day. Okay, Ricardo, see you later. Thanks for joining us. All right, then. Somebody's collecting these. Come on. Tell me if you want these or not. These are wrestling figures. It is the Ultimate Survivor Edition Undertaker and Gobbledygooker. I don't know how to pronounce them. Anyways,
I'm not a wrestling fan, but that's a pretty cool looking Undertaker. Like, just
yeah.
you could do, if you for sort of toy photography, you could have a lot of fun with him. So, but if it's 2-pack, it's probably pricey.
Yeah. So Joseph's saying there's 2 pose with a brown bomber jacket. I thought he had one. It was from The Last Jedi where he's wearing more of like a black leather type jacket. I was looking through the ones that I don't have on a shelf because I thought he had them. What the France? Yeah. That chicken that fights Peter Griffin. Yeah. So the thing about this chicken is it does come with like an egg where he's a giant egg where he's cracking out of it. So it's kind of funny. Like, I didn't put that picture in here. I probably should have, but it looks pretty funny. Oh, you know what? I'll just pull it up. So you can see the egg shot right in the middle of this. There you go.
That is cool.
Right? That just hilarious to me. I'm like, okay. Anyways, I think that's like kind of like the cool thing about it, but I don't know. So I think if you're collecting these, I think it's kind of like a cool set. It's kind of like something different. Anyways,
Undertaker is awesome.
Yeah, I like the hat. So
yeah.
I'm hoping that hat comes off because I may get, I may want to look for something like that just for the hat. I could put that on somebody else.
It's cool. I like the hat.
All right, and then these are the darn it. It's part of that haulathon, right? So these are, or this one D&D guy here. This is the NECA or whatever. The guy with the blue helmet. He's in the haulathon, I guess. But these ones were the final ones or whatever, or the new images. And I think for D&D, I mean, this is kind of what I think about. Not those other ones that are on the shelf, but.
So as far as I know, the guy with the blue helmet has just been released recently over here.
Yeah, the guy with the blue helmet. Yeah, he's on the shelf for like the haulathon, that little NECA thing that they do where they got the special end cap, and I almost picked him up, but because of the scale, I didn't.
Yeah, I do like the Goblin though because he's kind of shorter. He looks pretty awesome, and not plenty of accessories with him. I'm gonna say hot.
Yeah, I think they're good. I like them too. I'm not gonna get them. Well, I'd say that, and then you see this guy's weapons in here. This little rope with the hook looks cool.
Hook, yeah.
It looks like a cool.
And then the head without the hood as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's hot. That's paintwork is fabulous as well. NECA always nailed the paintwork on the figures.
Yeah. Let's see. I haven't seen Warduke yet, but I've seen Grimm's Word a few times. Yeah. All right. And then the last thing that I pulled up was, this is hilarious to me. I saw this. This is Stataverse had this. He had posted this. These are.
These are 135 books for these.
Yeah, they're the museum series. It's a Mona Lisa by Leonardo. Yeah, it's a Figma. So Figma. And I'm like, okay, so you could stand that figure kind of behind the frame and make her look like she's the painting, but then have her articulated. So like from a distance, it would look like the painting, but then you can have her like reaching out at somebody or whatever. And I'm just thinking, this is kind of like weird.
Yeah. And it makes me wonder, when Mona Lisa sat down for Leonardo da Vinci to actually paint her back in, Renaissance Florence, I wonder, did she ever think, I might get an action figure out of this gig?
Jonathan saying, who the heck wants a Mona Lisa figure to begin with? Never mind at that price. So Jonathan, please post a picture when this arrives. So we can see it.
When you're opening Supermax, Jonathan.
I've been waiting 500 years.
Now, I got to make a counter argument here against this, right?
Uh-huh.
My initial thoughts is this is bonkers. Who would want this? But then I was sorry I didn't order one of those Santa Claus action figures from Big Bad Toy Store. So,
Oh, you're right.
is this going to be something that we look back in a couple of years and say, maybe I should have got that Mona Lisa? You know, it would
Well,
have fit. Would have fit in with
yeah.
my statue of David.
So what you're going to end up what's going to end up happening is like you're going to end up seeing like some of these action figure photographers that have picked this up that do these like really kind of campy pictures or something like that, and they're going to turn this into like maybe some sort of like a horror story type photography thing or some comedy type thing or something like that, and people are going to be like go, oh, I wish I could have got that because that's a great idea, you know, the way they could have set it up or something like that. And you're going to be, you may end up like thinking like, man, I should have at least got one.
Look, I regret not getting a Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Who knows? In the future, Conor might regret not getting a Mona Lisa. But for now, for that price, I'm going to say not.
Yeah, it's the same. Like, right? Like, I keep looking at that like headless horseman.
Yes.
And you know, I don't know. Can you imagine you could actually get one of these, put it like a little stand, and put it next to your picture on the wall behind you? Then you would have like.
But that would take away from my picture of me.
So. This is true. This is true. All right. And then, of course, I just threw this picture in there because this guy went for pre-order today. And I don't know if anybody noticed, but I've been having some pretty I've been having fun with the action figure promo shots. I don't know what it is about when I look at some of the promo shots and I just see like stuff like this. And I'm like, who posts these things for these pictures? Because
when I was on the bus home when I seen the Twister one, and I just burst out laughing. You know, 30 or 40 people turned around and stared at me for that one, but I think it's brilliant.
I mean, I get what they were trying to do, but he's not doing the landing pose. It looks like he's getting ready to fall over. And I was like, there's one where he's walking. He's got like the one leg up and he's got his hand like right here. And I've been looking for like a picture of a bowling alley from the lane showing like the bowlers because it looks like he's bowling, like he just released the ball, but I can't seem to find a picture from that angle. All of them are from like the back. So, oh my gosh.
Oh, I'm going to say, well, this is a pass for me because I wouldn't be a big Marvel Legends collector. But
I probably end up getting it just because I do like Iron Man. I have I probably have more Iron Man figures than I do Boba Fett's.
Yeah.
So
no, David, I suppose the original Iron Man suit. Lots of people want it.
Yeah. So what happened last week was these guys were talking about Star Wars and they kept bringing it up and they talked for like almost 2.5 hours. And, you know, like I like to keep this show like under 2 hours because I know it's Saturday, people have stuff to do or whatever. But is there anything, since you're here, is there anything you want to talk about? Like specifically about your channel, about what's coming up, about...
So a couple of things coming up. One, I'm kind of stuck. And so this arrived this week. This is the Red 5 Kenner book.
Okay.
And I've been waiting ages for it. Finally turned up. And I want to do a video on it because the excitement of waiting for this to arrive. Actually, this was in the country 2 weeks before it got to me.
Oh my gosh.
We have a delivery company here, and their reputation is abysmal. And it hit the country, and it said out for delivery, and then I got a notification at 8:15 in the morning to say, no answer at the address, need more information. I was here, there was no knock on the door, and there's website. They're only open Monday to Friday. Their website has no contact phone number. They have no email address. You can.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding me! That's
there's
crazy.
a depot 20 minutes from me that closes about 30 minutes or 40 minutes after I finish work. So if I was to race up there in the car and it wasn't there, so I couldn't get an answer. So there was Look, it got sorted out and it turned up. So I do. So a few people have done reviews on these as well. We've got G-Force, who's in the chat, did an excellent review of the book. We Vintage Toy Rush, usual Mike, Tez from Roland's review. So everyone's got it before me and done a review. But I'm just trying to think of an angle to do something on it, because I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that while I was waiting for this to arrive, while I started seeing other people's videos and seeing those shots of the vintage Star Wars figures, I was getting all excited like I was getting a new toy from being a kid. And I sort of want to see, can I sort of capture that in some sort of a video? Then I have this arrived yesterday, so I have to do my video on that. So,
yeah. Oh, that card back looks fantastic. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's nearly a shame taking them off the cards, but he'll be coming off the card. And I'll have to dig out my other Zartan to do a comparison.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think mine's blue.
No,
is that like a different color scheme, right?
Yeah, and then so it's the retro card. So remember, the original vintage Zartan came with a clear chest plate.
Yes.
So you can see his color change underneath. So I presume they went with blue to capture that effect without the figure having the effect.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
I never picked up the special edition Zartan. Again, it was a Hasbro Pulse exclusive.
Sure.
So it was only available in the UK. They don't have access to the Ireland. So, which is a shame. I would have loved that figure, particularly with all the accessories that came with him. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to cracking him out. And unlike the other retro characters, I just don't think they've captured as much of the retro feel or the vintage feel in this one.
So I agree with you. I haven't gotten any of them for that reason.
Yeah. So maybe when I open them up, and like I said, maybe that's what the blue is supposed to represent, the color change of the figure. And then I don't think I'll do a video, and I'm not sure. So I got a notification from Amazon about this.
Oh, that's cool.
18 bucks. Yeah.
Ooh.
And I never even knew this figure existed, this Deadpool. So
are you giving that bazooka to Bazooka?
Yeah, I was thinking that, particularly with the boxing glove on it. But this guy comes with a taco, and I think that's what drove me to get this figure, because who doesn't like a taco?
Oh, that's really cool. Oh my god.
So, well, maybe I will. It must be an old figure, because I can see the wave. It's from an older wave there.
Yeah.
So I didn't even notice this was a figure, so I picked him up. So that's one potential video and two other videos I want to do. But then it's finding the time to sit down and fit all this in.
So I didn't get that the Read 5 Designs book, the Kenner, that book that you got. So are you supposed to be able to like take your figure and identify like which version you have, and like say maybe where it was manufactured, like to be able to tell whether or not it was a Palatoy or a Lily Letty or something like that?
So this is Kenner specific. So okay, I think now I could be wrong, I could get crucified, but I think it's more from the perspective of what Kenner produced.
Okay.
So you won't be able to have.
So it's going to have variants, like variations of the designs, but it's not going to have, because some of my figures I've realized, like my Darth Vader is a Lily Letty, even though I acquired it here in the US because I live in California.
Right. Okay. So of course there would have been some cross-pollination with stock if it's being produced in the US. But I often thought that, I was wondering, did they produce full sets each side of the board, or did they?
That's what I don't know, because I mean, like my Darth Vader that I have from when I was a kid apparently was a Lily Letty, and I know that we got it in the States. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I didn't get that book, so I'm not 100% sure.
There must have been. Like, there was such huge demand, and they were everywhere. So I think I was only saying to my wife today. Back in the day, you could buy a Star Wars figure in the local news agents, or they were that much available. So I'm sure there was plenty of stuff that crossed over, particularly to California, being so
Yeah,
close.
I'm thinking that must be how I got it, because I'm pretty sure that's the one that I had. And I mean, I've had 3 or 4 different vintage ones, but I mean, I'm pretty sure. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't know, maybe I don't remember acquiring him elsewhere. You know what I mean? Like, the only thing that I've done over the years is like when I get like auction lots or something like that, and there would be like figures in there, I would sometimes take the better saber and swap them. Right.
but you always kept your childhood Vader.
Yeah, the small, the ones that I have, I think because they're all broken or bent or something, so I have those in like a little container, but I have them displayed with like the best I could find.
Yeah.
Yeah, GeForce is saying you can sign up for the second printing of that book, but does that make you upset that they're going to do a second printing?
No, I think it's awesome. I think it's. I was lucky enough to meet the guys a couple of times over in the UK. Loved what they were doing. I think it's brilliant that there's so much demand there. So it's been announced they're definitely going ahead with a second print. So
Yeah, good.
anyone that wants in on it, contact them via the website. I have to say, I think I spent 2 or 3 nights after work this week just lying on the bed after work, flicking through the pages. It really is.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Enjoyable. It's just full of information. I don't think I'll ever absorb the amount of information that's in it. But as far as Greg, so it's done by Gianni and Greg are the 2 guys that done it, but Greg done all the photographs on it. I've been following Greg for a long time there on Instagram and TikTok. His toy photography is just absolutely stunning. So a big part of wanting the book was to have some of Greg's photography and have a bit of that. So that was the exciting part for me to get it. So it's the photographs of the toys and looking at the accessories, because there was plenty of figures. You bring them home, and by the time you were going to bed, the accessory was missing, never to be seen again. So looking at some of the accessories, one I noticed was the gun that came with prune face. I had prune face as a kid. I never remember his accessory, but it looks pretty cool. It looks like a modern rifle.
Sure.
So yeah, and it was just so I'm seeing stuff I didn't know. I didn't remember, and then stuff you don't remember comes flooding back when you see it. So yeah, I've so far this week I've had a lot of fun now reading that book. Like I said, just lying on the bed like a kid, flicking through the latest comic that you picked up on the way home.
Yep, so that's actually really cool. I was trying to pick one up, but they were trying to trade me. They wanted me to trade off my Kellerman for. They were going to trade me one of their books for my Kellerman book, but I was kind of like, I don't know. I was hesitant about it. I think I'm going to hold on to mine.
I would hold on to that, because that was a record in time.
I think that's right. Yeah. So when I look at it, it's kind of like I keep thinking like, yeah, I can let it go and then get something newer, but then I keep thinking like, well, or I can just keep this original deal. Yeah.
No, the lads even said themselves, like, they're not trying to outdo what that was done, because the Kellerman was done at the time when it was done. It was done to the best that, information. There was no internet back then. There was no sort of
I mean, there was a lot of legwork going on to get that.
Yeah. So no, I think that's if you're into toys and vintage toys, that's an important document in itself. I'd certainly hold on to that one.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to end up happening. Is I'm probably going to. I mean, I've kept other stuff longer, so. Oh, that's pretty cool. You got a lot of work to do. It's going to be really hard to capture your Well, I mean, if you can capture what your feelings on that book in that video, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah,
I'm
like,
not the most articulated person. I know that I know that myself. So that's the sort of the challenges I have when I'm making a video is how to articulate a feeling off a figure or off a toy. So it's a bit of a challenge. And then you have people like GeForce that did an absolutely fantastic job reviewing it because it's so big that it's not easy to do, and they've done great jobs on it. So just to try and capture.
yeah. And just checking with GeForce really quick on the word articulate. Did Conor use it correctly, or was that not the correct use of the word? Since you have like to point it out that I don't use that word correctly at all.
Well, English is my second language, so
I'm just messing with you because
even though I don't speak Irish.
I think I said something like this figure's really articulable or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's pretty cool. All right. I think we got some people that joined us. So let's just say hi really quick to Sunny and Darth Blaze. And then thank them for joining us while we say goodbye to everybody.
Good night, Sonny.
Anyways, Conor, I really appreciate you coming in and hanging out with me this week. Yeah. And you're always welcome to come back anytime you want. Just send me a message or whatever and let me know. Say, hey, I'm free Saturday or whatever, stuff like that. Yeah. And then we really appreciate everybody who showed up and took part of the conversation and contributed. Is awesome as always to be able to hear what everybody else has to say. And I probably missed some comments and stuff like that, and I apologize because I try to keep up with the conversation and then read through, and I'm getting a little bit older, so as it was pointed out earlier, so it's getting a little bit harder for me to do that. But I want to thank everybody for coming in and hanging out with us, and we always have a really good time, and I had a great time talking to you this week.
Cheers, me too. Really enjoyed it. And the chat. Thanks, guys.
All right. And then we'll find out what's happening with Sean. Just a little update. Sean's not here again this week. He is working Saturdays now. So we're going to discuss what's going to end up happening. I kind of like this time slot because I'm actually available for it. So who knows what's going to happen in the future. But for now, I really appreciate Conor for coming in and co-hosting with me this week. Originally, Ways of the Sith was going to be coming in, but then maybe that was an April Fool's Day joke when he said that he would. No, I'm just messing with him. But he heard there was going to be a lot of talk about Andor this week. And anyways.
He'll never forgive me for this. He'll never forgive me.
Well, we really appreciate everybody for stopping by. And as always, everybody, have a fantastic day. And we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys. Thanks, Vern.
All right. He's an action figure poser, which means posing action figures is his specialty. SeanSolo8 and it's Vern from OakhurstStudios, who is a master at complaining about pretty much everything. And together, they are